Let's be honest, when a man first sees a woman, the very first feeling he experiences is often not love. It's not the deep desire to protect her heart, build a life with her, or raise a family together. It's something far more immediate. He sees her smile, her eyes, the way she moves, her energy, and boom, lust. That instant spark, that chemical jolt. It's physical, it's instinctual, and it's fast. Now this can feel disappointing to hear, especially if you're a woman who's craving something deeper from the start. You want to be seen for your soul, not just your body. You want a man to admire your mind, your depth, your softness, your fire. But here's what's crucial to understand. Lust is the doorway, love is the journey, and for many men, that journey doesn't even begin until after that initial doorway is opened. This isn't about saying men are shallow. In fact, it's biology, evolution, nature. Men are, quite literally, programmed to notice visual cues first. A woman walks into the room and he doesn't think, wow, I bet she has a great emotional support system and strong moral values. He thinks she's stunning. That's how attraction begins in his world. But where it goes from there, that's where it gets interesting. That's where you hold the power. The truth is, lust is cheap. Anyone can feel lust. A man can scroll through social media and feel it a dozen times before breakfast. But love is expensive. Love costs something. It requires vulnerability, time, effort, emotional investment. And most importantly, it requires a woman to show up as more than just a beautiful face. Now here's the trap so many women fall into, mistaking a man's lust for love. He's texting every night, sending heart emojis, complimenting your looks, blowing up your DMs, wanting to see you again and again, and it feels like he's falling. It feels like something real is blooming. But is it? Ask yourself, has he seen you when you're not trying to impress? Has he heard your opinions and challenged them respectfully? Has he shown up for you when things weren't convenient? Has he listened when you talked about your dreams or your fears? Because until those things happen, it's just lust. And that's okay, as long as you don't let lust be the only foundation for what you're building. So many women get hurt not because men lust first, but because they expected love too soon. They confuse chemistry with connection. They give more than what the moment deserves. They open up emotionally, physically, even spiritually, to a man who hasn't earned that access yet. And then when he pulls away, when he vanishes, when he needs space, when the calls slow down, it feels like betrayal. But it wasn't betrayal, it was a misread signal. Love takes time. It grows through effort and consistency. Men can love, and when they do, they love hard. But it happens later. It happens through the repetition of being around you, not just seeing you, but experiencing you. How you respond under pressure, how you carry yourself, how you handle conflict, how you laugh, how you cry, how you say no. That's when the shift begins in a man's heart. That's when he goes from saying, she's beautiful, to she's extraordinary. That's when he starts to protect you emotionally. That's when he wants to learn how to make you feel safe. That's when his lust for your body transforms into admiration for your soul. You see, the woman who understands this doesn't rush. She doesn't panic when a man's lust doesn't turn into love overnight. She doesn't try to force deeper connection too early. She has faith in her value. She knows that if she shows up authentically, with grace and standards, the right man will lean in. Not just with his body, but with his heart. She lets the man pursue, but she pays attention to how he pursues. Is it consistent? Is it respectful? Is it intentional? If it's all late-night texts and flirty compliments with no substance, she doesn't fall for the flattery. She holds space for something deeper. She knows that the way a man starts isn't always the way he'll finish, but only if she doesn't give him boyfriend privileges at the lust stage. This is where emotional maturity comes into play. As a woman, you can't control how quickly a man falls in love, but you can control what you give access to while he's figuring it out. You can't force someone to love you, but you can require that your time, your heart, and your body be treated like the treasure they are. So the next time a man shows that spark in his eye, that physical hunger, that pull, don't reject it, don't fear it, but also don't confuse it with something it's not. Let it be what it is, an opener, an invitation, a possibility, and then let him show you through effort, consistency and care, whether he's capable of turning that spark into something real. Love isn't a lightning bolt, it's a slow burn. For men it often starts with the eyes, but it only stays if it reaches the heart. Let lust open the door, but never let it be the room you settle in, and never ever give your soul to someone who's only shown up for your skin. That's the truth women must hear. There's something women often forget in today's fast-paced swipe left, swipe right world. Love doesn't explode into existence, it builds moment by moment. We live in a culture that celebrates the instant spark, the butterflies, the chemistry. But lasting love, the kind that anchors someone through life's storms, is never built in a rush. It grows through presence. It grows through emotional connection. It grows when two people start to truly see each other. In the beginning, most men are focused on the surface, not because they don't care, but because they haven't had the chance to care yet. You can't care about someone deeply if you don't know them deeply. You can be attracted, intrigued, excited, but love asks for more. It asks for attention, patience, discovery, and that's where a meaningful connection steps in. Think about the difference between attraction and connection. A man can be attracted to dozens of women, maybe even every day, but how many does he actually connect with? That number is far smaller. Why? Because connection requires more than just showing up. It requires being real. When a woman starts revealing her true self, not in desperation, not to impress, but simply because she's grounded in who she is, something shifts in the room. It's no longer just about looks, it's about energy, intention, presence. A man starts to feel something he doesn't feel with every woman. He feels safe to open up, to be a little more honest, a little more vulnerable, and that's when the real magic begins. This is where love starts to grow, not through grand gestures or poetic texts, but through quiet moments of emotional intimacy, when he's telling you about his childhood and you're really listening, when you share your fears and he doesn't try to fix them, he just holds space for them, when you laugh so hard you forget to check your phone, when you see each other in your tired moments, your stressed moments, your unfiltered moments, and it still feels good to be there. Those are the moments that build love, not the vacations, not the selfies, but the small, meaningful exchanges where two people drop their guards and say, "This is who I am, do you see me?" Here's the thing, many men don't know they're ready for love until they feel that kind of connection. That's why lust alone will never sustain a relationship. It's fire without fuel, it burns hot but quickly. It's the emotional connection that keeps the flame alive when the physical excitement evens out, and it's not just about how much time you spend together, it's about the quality of that time. Are you asking the right questions? Are you being present? Or are you trying to control how he sees you? Are you allowing space for the kind of conversations that go beyond the surface? Because a man may start by desiring your body, but he falls in love with your soul. He falls in love with your values, with your empathy, with how you talk about your passions, with how you carry yourself when no one's watching, with the way you respond to life, not just the parts you put on display. That's where he starts to distinguish you from the rest. That's when he begins to say, "She's different," not because you're trying to prove it, but because you're living it. You're not seeking validation, you're not performing, you're just showing up in your truth. That's rare, that's magnetic, and what most women don't realize is this: you have more influence than you think. Men are shaped by the emotional tone a woman brings into the dynamic. If you bring depth, reflection, and presence, he'll meet you there, if he's the right kind of man. If you lead with authenticity, instead of fear, with standards instead of people-pleasing, you invite him to do the same. Now it's important to recognize that not every man is emotionally available. Some aren't ready for real connection. They're chasing dopamine hits, not depth. But when you meet a man who is ready, when he senses that you're not just another source of attention, but a source of connection, he'll slow down. He'll want to know what's behind your smile. He'll want to understand your mind. He'll want to step into your world, not just visit it. This doesn't mean love should be difficult or dramatic. In fact, the strongest love grows in calm waters. It doesn't always look like passion on steroids. It often looks like steady attention, a willingness to show up, the patience to ask, "How was your day?" and genuinely want the answer. And as that connection deepens, the attraction becomes more meaningful. Suddenly, he's not just drawn to how you look, he's drawn to how he feels around you. Safe, inspired, seen. That's the shift that turns a curious man into a committed one. That's when love starts to replace lust, not because the lust disappears, but because something greater has taken root. So if you're waiting for a man to fall in love with you, don't try to force it. Don't overgive. Don't perform. Invite connection instead. Be present. Be real. Be you. Let the depth of your character speak louder than your appearance. Let your energy do the talking. The men who matter, the ones who are capable of love, will feel that. They won't just want to be around you. They'll want to build with you. They'll want to know what makes you you. And once that door opens, love no longer becomes something they fall into. It becomes something they choose to grow every day. And that, more than anything, is what lasts. For many women, emotional connection is the foundation, something they seek early on in any romantic interaction. They want to feel understood, heard, safe. For them, intimacy isn't just about physical closeness, it's about emotional resonance. But for most men, the process is different. Their emotional bonding happens later, not because they don't care, not because they're incapable of deep love, but because the order in which they attach is different. This is something women often misunderstand, and it leads to a lot of unnecessary pain. You meet a man, the chemistry is amazing, he's charming, the spark is electric, and very quickly, you begin to build a story around it. You imagine where it could go, what the relationship might feel like. You start to emotionally invest, not because you're naive, but because the connection feels promising. But then he pulls back, he gets inconsistent, he seems distant, cold even. You wonder, did I do something wrong? The answer often is no. What actually happened is that you bonded emotionally before he did. You were already feeling something real, but he was still navigating the surface, still in the lust and curiosity stage. And because men typically take longer to access their emotions, especially in romantic situations, there was a mismatch in timing, one that left you feeling confused and hurt.
Here's the truth most women don't hear enough. A man doesn't fall in love at the beginning. He opens up gradually, in layers. At first, he's simply enjoying the experience, the excitement, the chase, the physical spark. He's gathering data, watching how you interact, testing how he feels around you. He's not yet thinking about forever, he's thinking about now. That's not necessarily a red flag. That's just how many men are wired. But as time passes, something begins to shift. He starts to notice more than just your body. He notices your grace, your humor, your boundaries, the way you carry yourself when no one's watching. And slowly, he starts to relax his guard. Not because you demanded it, not because you pressured him to open up, but because he felt safe, because he sensed you weren't trying to manipulate the connection into something premature. You allowed him the space to choose you, not just chase you. This is where emotional bonding begins. Quietly, subtly, he finds himself missing you when you're not around, not because of your looks, but because of how you made him feel. He thinks about your laugh, the way you challenge him, the way you listen, the energy you bring into his world that no one else does. That's when the emotional switch flips. Not with fireworks, but with realization. But here's the key. That process takes time, and too many women sabotage the potential of a beautiful connection because they rush what should unfold slowly. They open up too soon, give too much access, and expect commitment before the emotional groundwork is laid. They assume that just because a man acts interested, he's emotionally invested. But acting interested isn't the same as being emotionally available. Men can be present without being committed. They can be affectionate without being attached. And this doesn't mean they're playing games, it means they're still deciding what this connection means to them. That's why it's so important for women to stay grounded in the early stages. Don't confuse consistency with depth. Don't mistake desire for devotion. And don't give boyfriend-level emotional intimacy to someone who hasn't earned your heart yet. Instead, watch how he handles time, how he behaves when things aren't easy or exciting, how he responds when you have a boundary. Does he stay consistent when he's not getting everything he wants? Does he listen when you express your needs? Does he try to understand you or just charm you? The answers to those questions tell you when emotional bonding is happening. When a man begins to show emotional responsibility, that's when love is growing. Not just when he says the right things, but when he begins to act in a way that reflects care, thoughtfulness, and emotional maturity. And here's something powerful. The pace at which a man bonds emotionally is heavily influenced by the environment you create. If you create pressure, urgency, or expectations too early, he'll retreat. If you try to define the relationship before he's had a chance to feel it, he'll resist. But if you show up with clarity, calm confidence, and emotional boundaries, he'll feel safe enough to open. Because emotional safety is what allows a man to access deeper parts of himself. Most men don't get that kind of space in the world. They're told to be strong, stoic, performative. But when they meet a woman who sees them as they are, and doesn't need to control or fix them, that's disarming. That's attractive. That's rare. So instead of asking, why hasn't he fallen in love yet? Ask, has he had the space to? Instead of assuming his slower pace means a lack of care, consider that he might be bonding in a way that's quiet but real. Maybe he just doesn't show it the way you do. Maybe love for him is a process, not an explosion. The women who win in love are the ones who understand this difference. They don't panic when a man doesn't match their emotional pace. They don't overextend themselves to keep him interested. They stay present, curious, and patient, without lowering their standards. They understand that love is not about rushing into a label, but slowly building a bond that can weather time. So if you're with someone right now and things feel promising but not yet deep, don't force the next step. Instead, nurture the emotional space between you. Keep showing up with honesty, authenticity, and warmth. Let him meet your heart at his own pace, because when he finally does bond emotionally, it's not shallow, it's not fleeting, it's rooted. And once a man bonds like that, he stays, not out of obligation, but because he wants to. And that kind of love, that's the one worth waiting for. Not so kind of a misconception that once a man feels lust, what happens next is entirely up to him. That a woman's only job is to wait, hope, and respond. But the truth is, the woman has far more influence than she realizes. The energy she brings, the standards she holds, the way she shows up emotionally and mentally, it all shapes the direction of the connection. A high-value woman isn't someone who chases love. She's someone who defines the tone of the relationship from the very beginning. Let's make something clear. A high-value woman is not defined by how she looks, what she owns, or how many people want her. She's defined by how she carries herself. Her confidence doesn't scream, it whispers. It's in her posture, her boundaries, her calm refusal to beg for validation. She knows who she is, she knows what she brings. And because of that, she doesn't try to convince anyone of her worth. When a man meets a woman like this, he may start with lust, like he does with many, but he doesn't stay in lust for long. Why? Because her presence requires more. She doesn't reward charm alone. She doesn't get swept away by surface-level attention. She listens, she observes, and she responds with intention. She doesn't just give access to her body, her time, or her emotions, without seeing who's standing in front of her. That changes everything. Men are used to leading the dynamic. They're used to women bending, adjusting, overgiving to hold their interest. But when a woman doesn't do that, when she leans back instead of chasing, when she doesn't rush to accommodate, when she waits to see if he aligns with her values, he feels the difference. He knows she's not here for attention, she's here for connection, and he either rises to meet her, or he drifts. That's what women often underestimate, the power of emotional standards. It's not about playing games or being cold, it's about communicating with your actions and energy, what kind of relationship you're available for. A woman who has high standards doesn't need to say I want something serious. He can feel it, he can sense that she's not here for entertainment, she's not here to fill space, she's here to build something meaningful, and only the man with the right intentions will stick around. You see, lust is reactive, it's the mind's quick response to something attractive, but love that only begins when a man sees something he respects, when he sees a woman who values herself so much that she won't sell herself short for temporary comfort, a woman who can walk away from inconsistency, a woman who doesn't need to prove herself. That's not just attractive, it's unforgettable. And yes, a high-value woman may lose a few men early on, the ones who just wanted access, the ones who weren't ready to show up fully. But that's a blessing, not a loss, because she's not trying to keep any man, she's creating space for the right man, one who wants to invest, who wants to go deeper, who doesn't see her as a moment, but as a meaningful chapter in his life. That's what so many women don't realize. You're not powerless in love, you have leverage, you get to decide who gets access to your time, your energy, your world, you get to say no without guilt. You get to walk away from someone who's still stuck in the lust phase, and unwilling to step into something real, and in doing so, you make room for someone who can love you the way you deserve, the way you move, the way you speak, the way you react to inconsistency. These are all messages. You don't need long speeches, you need alignment. When your words match your actions, when your energy reflects your self-worth, you naturally filter out the wrong men, and attract the right ones. The ones who see you and think, I can't just play with her, she's the real deal. And the beautiful part is that once a man experiences this kind of woman, once he sees that she doesn't just demand more, she embodies more, it inspires something in him. The right man wants to rise to that level. He starts thinking differently, acting differently, because he realizes, if I want to keep her, I have to bring something real to the table. And when he chooses to meet her there, love becomes something powerful, not rushed, not forced, but grounded, mutual and full of intention. So don't shrink. Don't soften your standards to keep someone who was never ready to rise.